Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and we have some last-minute drama to talk about today for the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. I mean, this is getting ridiculous by this point, but why not, right? We've kind of been through it all with this buyout. It's been a wild, crazy ride, as a lot of you all know, but the FTC is back at it once again. They are attempting to throw another wrench into Microsoft's plans, but the big question is, does it really even matter by this point? Well, Microsoft did respond, and we'll talk about that today. Then also Sony announced some big news that really shows you just how much they're shifting their plans this generation. This might be the new status quo for them going forward. As always, though, this is News Dose, so we do have a lot to get into. So without a further ado, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Alan Wake 2. This, honestly, right now is probably my most anticipated game. It sits right up there with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm super excited to play both these games. I love both of these series, and really now my anticipation is only going up, and up for Alan Wake 2, and that's because previews have started to go out today. Definitely go check them out if you want to, but critics right now are absolutely glowing about how good this game is, and even though that's what I was hoping to see, they're praising it even more than what I was actually expecting. It's being described as the best Remedy game ever made, which, that alone is saying a lot. They've made some great games in the past, and I'm also hearing that it's highly creative and just kind of a weird experience. It honestly sounds refreshing because it sounds different than your typical AAA game. It's challenging itself and it's taking risks, or at least that's how it's shaping up with these early previews. Legitimately, though, we might be looking at another Game of the Year contender here. There's been a lot of great games this year, but the only thing that I can kind of say about that is that it's not too late to play the first game if you haven't already. It is a very story-driven experience, but the story and the atmosphere, they're still amazing all these years later, and because there is a remaster available, playing that first game would be a great way to prepare for the sequel. Now, there is another reason that we're talking about Alan Wake 2, though, because it's also been confirmed that it will have a performance mode on consoles. Now, we don't know the official details just yet, but they said despite Alan Wake 2 being designed as a 30 FPS game, it scales very well and it will have a performance option. Whether it's locked or not, that still kind of remains to be seen, but hopefully, crossing my fingers here, but hopefully it will be close to a consistent 60 FPS. And hey, I'd actually like to see a 40 option as well, but yeah, we'll kind of see about all that. Moving on, though, one trend that we've really seen this generation is the move over to $70 games, and it sounds like that list of publishers is about to grow even more with the addition of Capcom. Now, they had nothing to announce just yet, so don't take this as a confirmation, but Capcom's president had this to say on the subject. Personally, I feel that game prices are too low. Development costs now are about 100 times more than they were during the Famicom era, but software prices haven't gone up to that extent. There's also a need to raise wages in order to attract talent. Seeing as wages are rising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy business model. Now, again, he's not necessarily announcing anything here, so we'll kind of see what happens with this. But considering that this is coming from the Capcom president, yeah, it does sound like there's a good chance that their prices will increase here sometime soon. Honestly, I'm not surprised by this at all. It seems like most game companies kind of agree that it needs to happen because development costs have raised just so much. AAA games, they do cost a lot of money, and that's what gamers want. And, now that we've seen other companies have success at that $70 price point, it's more or less kind of opened the floodgates. Without a doubt, there's going to be pushback from gamers. We've seen that as well. But I fully expect by the end of this generation, $70 games, they're probably going to be the new norm for most publishers. I think for Capcom, though, it's really just about when are they going to pull the trigger. They didn't do that with Resident Evil 4 Remake, and they also didn't do it with Street Fighter 6 either. Those are two huge franchises, and that would have probably been a good opportunity for them, just considering the hype that those IP gets, but they held off. So really the next two big Capcom games I'm looking at would be first Monster Hunter and then maybe Dragon's Dogma 2. That game is shaping up to be something great. It looks fantastic, but considering the popularity of Monster Hunter, that to me seems like their best opportunity to kind of jump into those $70 games without a ton of backlash online. Let me know what you all think about this, though. I know there's been a lot of frustration over this subject, but I want to hear from you all and give me your thoughts on $70 games. Do you buy them yourself, or do you just completely avoid them? Are you okay with it or not? Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now, okay, so we do unfortunately have to talk about some more Microsoft Activision Blizzard drama. Hopefully, this will kind of be a thing of the past here sometime soon, because it's getting ridiculous by this point. Actually, it's been ridiculous for a long time now. But what's happening here is that the FTC decided to revive their case against Microsoft. They said they continue to believe that this deal is a threat to competition, and they want to challenge it in their in-house court. Now, the FTC will have a better shot in their in-house court compared to the federal court like we saw before. But even still, this is a bad case. And yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Truthfully, I'm not all that surprised by this. This is Lena Khan's FTC that we're talking about here. They've never cared that they have weak cases. It's all a political fight for them, an ideology that big tech mergers are bad. That's what all of this just kind of boils down to. And because they keep ignoring the law and are trying to create their own rules, it's the exact reason that they keep losing case after case. And I guess that they just want to keep that losing streak going or something. I don't know. Like I said, this has been ridiculous for a while. And that's kind of the part here that people are scratching their head over. It's not just that they're reviving a weak case, which, by the way, has only gotten weaker in recent months if you haven't been paying attention, but their hearing with the court is taking place after the October 18th deadline and after the CMA will have made their final decision. So as long as the CMA doesn't do something unexpected, I mean, we'll see about that, but as long as they don't do something unexpected, well, then Microsoft will just close well before the FTC can even fight them in court. This doesn't impact the acquisition in the short term whatsoever. It's not like last time where the FTC was basically just trying to use delay tactics. This time, they're actually going to have to prove their case, and they have a very weak case. In fact, Microsoft and Activision's Lulu Chang responded to this announcement. We'll first take a look here at Lulu's response, which always has the right amount of venom packed in. She's always worth a sassy comment or two. And she said, "We're focused on working with Microsoft toward closing. How the FTC uses limited taxpayer dollars is its decision." And that is one big part of this story. Every American that pays taxes should be frustrated with the FTC. This is a waste of time and money, and that's all there is to it. It always has been, and it always will be. But this is even worse than the first time around that they went to court, because if you look at what's happened over the last few months, the FTC's case, it's gotten even worse. Their big argument the first time around revolved around Sony and Call of Duty exclusivity, but Sony's now signed a contract with Xbox. So that argument is now moot. And what's even worse is that the FTC, they can't fall back on their cloud-based argument either. Microsoft has already sold Activision Blizzard cloud rights to Ubisoft. So what are they going to argue this time? They have absolutely nothing. You hear me laughing over here, but this is just going to be laughed out of court. One question you might have, though, is does this impact the October 18th deadline at all? Will Microsoft decide to delay the buyout to fix their problems with the FTC? And, well, Microsoft did actually respond, and here's what they said. "We still anticipate that we will close the transaction by October 18th, and we have full confidence in our case and the deal's benefits to gamers and competition." So there you go. This is just a big nothing burger. The FTC is just kind of being annoying by this point. So long as the CMA approves the deal as expected, Microsoft will close next month, as they just alluded to here. Now, moving on, though, the leaks and rumors were true after all. Horizon Forbidden West Definitive Edition does indeed exist, which includes the base game and its expansion Burning Shores, and it's not just coming to the PS5. It's also heading over to PC. And this is actually pretty big news. More on that here in just a second. But this will be a staggered release. It will first release on the PlayStation 5 October 6th. And, I mean, just go and add this to the list of October games, I guess. I really don't understand what game companies are doing this year. Why does every single game need to release in October? Like, I understand that this game has been out for a while. I get that, so it's not really as egregious. But even then, I mean, can we please use November and December? Those are valid months. I'm just throwing that out there. But obviously, the bigger announcement here is the PC version, and it will release early in 2024 for $60. It's also being handled by Nixxes, which is a great sign. They've done a good job overall porting their PC games, and after the whole Last of Us Part 1 debacle, it's nice to see Nixxes take control. Like I said, though, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, we've known for a while that PlayStation is taking the PC side of things more serious, which was cemented by their acquisition of Nixxes. But Horizon Forbidden West is one of their premier AAA flagship exclusives. This is not some small game or a B-tier game by any stretch of the means. This is one of Sony's best-selling franchises right now, a game that they view as a system seller, and it is a legitimate blockbuster. It's also not very old either. It released just last year in 2022, so we are starting to see that gap from console to PC shorten a little bit here, and we're also seeing that they're now porting their big blockbuster hits. Now, with that in mind, you have to kind of ask yourself, how long before we see other games like God of War Ragnarok or even Spider-Man 2 on PC? Now, there's no guarantee that those will release on PC, but based on what we're seeing with Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, and now also Horizon, there does appear to be a trend here. It looks like the PC versions release right around that 2-year mark after first releasing on the PlayStation 5. So technically, we could get a God of War Ragnarok announcement sometime next year if that trend continues. Now, again, we'll kind of see about that, but Sony's definitely pushing more towards PC, which I've said 100 times, and I'll say it again, it's smart. They're making a lot of money on consoles. This has not hurt their console sales at all, and now they can also make some extra money on top of that with those PC ports as well. Lastly here, though, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis is officially coming over to PC via Steam. Now, we don't have a release date or anything like that. I will keep you updated as we hear more, but this is a rather interesting game. It is a retelling of several old Final Fantasy VII games with a new art style, including the original Final Fantasy VII. You have Crisis Core and also First Soldier. Now, there's apparently more content planned as well because it's set up kind of like an episodic type of experience. Do keep in mind this is a mobile gacha style of game. And, you know, that will probably put some people off, but visually, I mean, it does look really nice, and if you were interested in this game, well, you'll now have PC as an option as well, and I'd say that that's good to see. For that matter, I think that this game could eventually head over to consoles as well. I just kind of wonder about those gacha mechanics. That type of stuff doesn't really fly as much on consoles and PC, but if Square ever decided to maybe modify it a little bit, I could see this being an attractive package for both PC and console. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you think games designed to be difficult needs to have an easy mode? And as you can see, the majority of you being 64% said no, and I completely agree with you here. At the end of the day, I believe it should be left up to the developers to decide on what's best for their own game, and even more so, as From Software has definitively proven, and I'll say that again, has definitively proven there is a large group of people who wants these set challenging experiences. Elden Ring took the gaming world by storm and sold 20 million copies worldwide. That is absolutely insane. The Dark Souls series, it also had a lot of success, and as we just learned, Sekiro did as well, selling 10 million units. So clearly, a lot of fans do like these type of games, and them having that set challenge is a big reason as to why. It is one of the main selling points for these type of games. I think that there's actually a very real argument that From Software games would have never had the success that they've had if they would have made those games easy. The challenging experience is a big part of their reputation, and fans would have never gushed over the Soulsborne games without that challenge. More so, if you don't like these challenging experiences, you don't have to play them. This is something that everybody needs to kind of understand here. Not everything is specifically made for you. There's different demographics, and yes, that does include fans that wants a challenging experience. There's plenty of other games out there that are easy because they're focusing on a different group of people. I've also seen people kind of come out and say that they don't have time to play these difficult games. They want a stress-free experience. But again, that just means that these games are not meant for you. And hey, that's perfectly okay. There's so many other games out there that you can play. You're not forced to like these style of games. The fact that 30% of you did vote yes, however, I think that does go to show you why this is such a hot topic online. It goes to show you that there is a sizable portion out there that really pushes against these difficult games. But you know what's crystal clear here is that there is a huge audience that wants these experiences, and that's why they will continue to be made. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.